Bernie Sanders has officially announced that his campaign staffers will remain on the campaign healthcare plan through the end of the fall, through November. Guys, this is actually a really big deal. And not just because now there's, a bunch of people who are working for Bernie Sanders who no longer, have to sit around worried about healthcare in the middle of a pandemic, but also because it shows Bernie Sanders' character. It shows his leadership in this area. It shows that he's actually willing to stand up for his principles and stand up for the things that he believes in. Especially when you compare it to Michael Bloomberg here, who had promised that he was going to be keeping, basically he was hiring people and then promising that he was going to pay them out through November and that he was going to, pay their health care plan, et cetera, et cetera. And then he decided, you know what, actually not really going to do that, not really interested in that, because initially what he was planning on doing was basically funding this whole massive operation all the way all the way through the fall, all the way through November. He was going to keep his campaign staffers on. And then, even if he lost, the idea was that he was going to basically become a campaign arm for the DNC with all these resources, all these staffers, and put in a bunch of money. Instead, he just threw in a couple, I think like 18 million bucks, like, here you go, chump change, and then threw it over there, then fired everybody. But you know what? Here, at least they get to keep their MacBooks. At least they get to keep their iPhones or whatever, the few of them that got them. But still, I mean, this really just goes to show you that the absolute magnitude of difference of character when it comes to Michael Bloomberg versus Bernie Sanders, which may seem obvious, but also just in general, corporate Democrats overall. I mean, how many people would have done this? How many people would have done something like this? This really just does show Bernie Sanders' is a serious piece of leadership, especially when you look at this tweet here. Bernie Sanders was adamant when it came to dropping out that no, his people were going to stay on the healthcare plan, that he was not going to be, letting people off of their healthcare plan in the middle of a pandemic. That was not something that he was comfortable with doing, and it might have even been possibly part of the reason why he even stayed in the race. I saw one person tweeting about this. Who knows if that's actually true or not? That was, at least a consideration factor. But at the very least, it was part of the negotiations when it came to this thing that, well, if I'm going to drop out, my staffers are going to stay on healthcare. Guys, this is the kind of leadership that we need. This is the kind of voice that we really need in the world. The kind of person who's willing to stand up for their values, because there's a lot of politicians out there who aren't willing to do this, who aren't willing to do something like that. I mean, it wasn't too long ago. It was Chris Matthews. I know he's out right now from MSNBC, but when he was still on in the air, he, said, "Oh, who would rather, who would be more likely to come and help me if I got hit by a car or something like that? Would it be Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders?" And he claimed that, oh, Joe Biden, that he thought Bernie Sanders would just walk by him. Come on, are you kidding me? Bernie Sanders would be the first person to come out and help anyone who got hurt, anyone who got hit by a car. And that much is obvious, that Bernie Sanders really cares not just about the issues, but about the moral implications of the issues at hand. And that's something which is really unique, something which is really valuable. Again, guys, it's exactly what you want in a leader. You want someone who really cares about the values, really cares about the things involved, because then you can trust him. You know that that's the kind of person who, when push comes to shove, when things get hard, that he's going to do, or she's going to do, exactly what is necessary, exactly what needs to be done in order to fight for the right things, in order to fight for their values. They're not going to bend unnecessarily. They're only, the only time that compromise is going to be made is if a compromise is absolutely necessary, and that they fought tooth and nail. They fought as hard as they possibly could to get the best deal that was possible. That's the kind of thing, again, you just want in a leader. And I just really wanted to make this video just to talk about that, and just to show you guys how Bernie Sanders is actually committed to this kind of thing, because a lot of people think that Bernie Sanders is all just talk. People say stuff like that, but no, this just goes to show you that Bernie Sanders isn't just talk. He's willing to stand up for the things that he believes in, that he's willing to actually, implement the values that he wants, that he's willing to put in the kinds of, just small steps towards the world that he wants to build in as many areas as he can. And, that's really the thing that, that I wanted to show you guys. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of this, because this is really good. This is the kind of thing that you want to see in a leader. This is the kind of thing that you want to see in the world. So anyway, if you like the video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks.